Hey guys, and welcome to the video. Thanks for watching. It's been a minute. It's been almost 2 weeks actually since I recorded the last clips that I'd made for this video. And so I'm going to compile it all together here. And I'm wearing the same shirt as I did 2 weeks ago for continuity. But one of the reasons that I wasn't able to finish up that video and get it out is one, life. Things got busy. And then two, I caught COVID. You might still hear it a little bit. I've got a little bit of congestion going on, and I'll probably I'll be editing out some coughing here or there. But my wife is currently in bed sleeping, keeping down a fever, so I feel like I'm over the worst of it. She's still dealing with it. I'm taking care of her, but while she's resting, I thought I would come back and finish up this video, hopefully, and hopefully get it edited and out there so that you guys can kind of know where I'm at in my manga reading journey. A lot has happened in this time, obviously, so I'm excited to get into it. Hey guys, welcome to the video. I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I picked up recently, and we have a little manga haul here of some stuff I got online that just came in, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So let's just get right into it. First off, we got volume 2 of Alice in Borderland. This one is by Haro Aso, and this is a show on Netflix as well right now that's live action. Season 2 is coming later this year. And this is just the second volume that just released in this month of June. And I'm looking forward to read it. The first volume was great. It deviates from the show just a little bit and adds a little bit more of a fantastical element and a more whimsical art style, and just overall it's a super fun series. It is a kind of a psychological thriller. If you're into that sort of thing, I definitely recommend to check this out. So the rest of the volumes for this series will be coming out later this year, before the second season comes out. I'm not sure if it goes past the first season of the show on Netflix. So my recommendation, I would say start with the show. We have a story here. It's a bit of an older one and very rare, very out of print, and that is Bastard with 2 exclamation points. This was released in the 80s. It's got a very hair metal vibe to it. It is heavy metal dark fantasy. And this one actually is a Viz graphic novel. It actually does read from right to left. There's no disclaimer in the front that says flip it over, read it this way. No, the back is actually here on this side of the spine, like any other English book, which is, it really threw me off at first because I was like, wait a minute, here we are with it on the opposite side. I was like, what is going on? That's how old this series is. Look at that art style. It reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho, of Inuyasha, all these older series, but holy hell, it looks freaking sweet. Speaking of hell, I guess it has some biblical aspects to it too, even though it's based on fantasy and your dragons and castles and all that. And so I do have high expectations for this series, but we'll just have to see what it's like. I only picked up volumes. Currently I have 1, 3, and 4, but I do have 2 and 5 on the way, so I have volumes 1 through 5 currently. I picked them up now because the anime series is actually going to be released. I was looking forward to watching the series, but also seeing the original content and reading through that, getting an impression of the original story before diving in to the show. Now let's take a look at some of the stuff that I picked up from my local library and that I've been reading and really enjoying, and that is A Bride's Story. It's a very surprising one. I didn't expect to necessarily like this. I just like the art style. I thought it looked beautiful. These covers, hard covers, are fantastic. And my library was actually, they were getting rid of actually volumes 6 through 10, which I'll show here. So all of these I got for free from my library because they were actually retiring these volumes. And this is 6 through 10. So this currently has 13 volumes, and this was during the 1800s on the Silk Road. But it does teach a lot about the culture and the time period. And it's a very, very different time period, but they present it through a very subjective lens. The author, you can tell, put a lot of thought, a lot of research into this story. They put a lot of effort, and they teach a lot about the culture, the good and the bad. I just think it's a really fun read. It's a slice of life kind of series, so it's a very interesting story, and one that I didn't necessarily know if I would like, but I saw the opportunity to pick it up. Thought I'd give it a try, and I ended up liking it a lot. So I think I will definitely be finishing this series. So that's it. That's all I picked up as far as purchases for the month of June. But I just wanted to go over some of the stuff that I'm reading. So look forward to more videos in the future. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me a lot to motivate me to keep doing these videos. That's really about it. That's all I look to get out of this. I had a lot of fun editing these videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. So first off, when I recorded the first clips, I had picked up a series called Bastard because I knew it was coming out on Netflix as an animated series. And I wanted to be ready for that by reading the manga. So I picked it up and I read the first 5 volumes. I had all 5. And since then, after reading it, it's got a lot of humor and it's very like meta. The main character here, he often actually just refers to himself as the shonen protagonist. And a lot of the times, you know, he's like, oh yeah, of course I want a harem, this and that. Like, it's very self-aware, and I really like that about it. That, and in the anime, the music is exceptional. I think it pairs very well with the heavy metal dark fantasy that this is going for. The one thing I really didn't like about it is it is a bit dated. It's an older manga. There are some references in it that I didn't really care for, just the way that he treats the women and they treat him. It's very much like a romance novel. He's kind of critiqued even by the female characters within the book. They even reference in this book, like, the manga is so interesting because they mention, like, oh, the readers sent in letters and said how they don't like how you are treating the women, and you know they're scolding him, but he's still just he acts the same all the time. He doesn't change because of it. The narrator or the author doesn't, you know, divert from that path just because he's being criticized for it. That's very much like the brand of this manga. It just feels a bit dated to me and not one that I'd want to continue to collect down the line. So because of that, I already sold, this is an extra copy of volume 1 that I got, but I did sell the complete 1 through 5 that I did have already. And I might continue to watch the anime to see where that goes because I think that was well done. But as far as collecting the manga itself, it's a very old, very rare manga, and I don't think it's just quite for me and my taste to continue to pick it up. Continuing on, Since then, I did read a couple of the series that I mentioned before. I have been continuing to read Yamushi Pedal. I love this series. It's very quirky and very fun and lighthearted, and it motivates me, but also just gives me good vibes when I read it. So when I'm in the mood for that, I love having this available. And these are some chonky boys. Like, this is thick, right? And I love that my library, my local library, carries like a lot of these volumes because they're kind of hard to find now. Next, we have Bride. I've been continuing to read this series because my library gave away a lot of the volumes. So I picked up the ones that they had before the ones that were given away. So the previous volumes 1 through 5. The story's just been really nice, really charming and sweet, and it has a lot of history in it. And I really like the setting a lot. I like that time period and region. I think it's really interesting stuff in this. There's some scuffles and some drama, but it's mainly very lighthearted and it's refreshing in that way. So a couple of things I picked up from the library again were All You Need Is Kill. Did not plan to pick this one up. Just happened to be at the library one day when my wife was picking out a new book, and then I saw this on the shelf and said, you know what? I've seen the movie with Tom Cruise. Let's just check this out. And the art is by Takeshi Obata, who did Death Note. The art is amazing. It's great. The story's up my alley for sure. It's like sci-fi, futuristic fantasy in a way. What they did in this story in the manga was exceptional. This was great. And I believe this was originally a novel. So it was novel, then manga, then movie. But the story is relatively short and it's to the point, and it goes from A to B, and that's what you get. It's a full, complete story, and I appreciate that, especially with one volume. You probably pick this up for $20 somewhere or less on like Amazon or somewhere that it's on sale. I think it's a great read. Like, if you have not read this, if you've not read All You Need Is Kill, then you're missing out. Check it out. Just check it out. Especially if you haven't seen the movie yet. I definitely recommend this. The next one, a classic, and I can see why it's a classic, and one that a lot of people talk about and have in their collections, Vagabond. I picked up number 1. I saw this and I said, you know what? I gotta check this out and see what all the fuss is about. Because, it's a samurai story. There are a lot of those out there. But supposedly this is one of the best. I think that's one of the biggest selling points for this, is the art, and that really makes some of the characters come to life. Like, look at this. Like, without spoiling too much, that's some detail. That's amazing artwork. It would draw me in and keep me reading just for that, except I don't really like the main character, and it's only volume 1, so maybe he grows and becomes this legendary badass, and like there's something about it. Like the battles and the fights are done very well. It's a very good manga. I can see why it's a classic, but there's something about a protagonist like that where there's just almost like no flaw to them, except that they know that they're awesome and nobody can tell them otherwise. It's a little too easy for the main character. It's kind of what I'm getting at. It's just not the protagonist that I look for typically. And I really want to connect and be drawn in by a protagonist. This kind of character, this like mega Chad with a katana, is not what I'm looking for. So honestly, I don't know if I'll be continuing it right now. There's a lot of other stories that I'm interested in right now that come before I read it. If anything, I want to read something like Berserk more, where like the main character is a mega Chad. Like, he's just a brute with a giant ass sword, but there's like layers to him, right? And so that's what I'm saying, is that this protagonist might also have layers, and like you have to read further to really find that out. But just from this first get-go, it didn't hook me enough, except on the visuals, except on the art. And there are other manga out there to read, so I'll be passing for now. So the next one I'm getting into is ones that I actually purchased in a small manga haul on July 4th weekend when I was with my family, and we were going to the beach, but on the way there was a Books A Million. So we went to Books A Million and picked up the first 3 volumes of Summertime Rendering. And I've heard a lot about this series. I think the art, the covers are like visually beautiful, right? This one here is by Yasuki Tanaka. That one's an easy name, I feel like. Probably still found a way to mess it up. But this one, so far, I did start reading it just a little bit, just like the first chapter or so. It really moves quickly, getting into the story it wants to tell and getting you pulled in. Definitely interested. I'm definitely intrigued as to what is going to happen next. Got volumes 2 and 3 here as well. So can't wait to dive into this series. I've heard good things, and of course, it was buy 2 get 1 free, so I had to get 3. So I got a lot of manga to get through still, but I have also made my way through a lot of the stuff that we've talked about before. And to be quite honest, Raid Master was hilarious. Like, I loved the Jiggly Butt gang who made a little cameo appearance. It was funny. The humor in the series is great. The one thing though is the story didn't really pull me in, and the characters are all pretty cool. It's just the story itself is just like not drawing me in and keeping me coming back. So Rave Master was cool. I can see why people love it. I will not personally be continuing to collect it, but I did think it was cool. I think I've covered a lot of the ones I'm continuing to read. I got several to get through here. Summertime Rendering, I really got to get into that. I want to continue and get through Bride's Story, and I also have to still read volume 2 of Alice in Borderland. I'm less hurried to get into that second volume because I have seen the show, and we haven't really reached a point yet where it's completely opening up the world beyond what we've seen in the Netflix series. But I do need to continue that. Do still need to read that volume. So stay tuned. It might be another month before my next video, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on some of these series and what I've been collecting recently. I can't wait to share more with you guys and continue on this manga collecting journey. So thank you, and don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. I would love to see more comments on the videos and to be able to just have a dialogue and just, have a bit of a back and forth about what's your favorite manga and why do you like it. What manga have you seen here that you either liked or disliked? And what of my hot takes do you completely disagree with? Whatever you want to put down in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.